of my talk today is the magic of charity. And I think there we go. The magic of charity. And I've been thinking a lot about charity and service and charitable giving over the past many months. And I wanted to take this opportunity to dig into it a little bit more, look into some of the historic context, its origins, and shed some light on its importance in today's world. So we're all familiar with the phrase, charity begins at home, which implies that we should take care of our own family and our own community before sharing that out into the world and expanding our charitable energies elsewhere. But the phrase is not directly biblical. People think that it came directly from the Bible. It didn't, but the notion of taking care of one's family in a charitable, loving way is throughout various scriptures. But the expansion of this phrase, charity begins at home but should not end there, which many of you may have heard also, that is attributed to the 17th century English churchman, historian, and writer Thomas Fuller. And this reminds us that in order to be truly charitable, we must not confine our acts of kindness and benevolence to the familiar and comfortable spaces of home and community, and instead, we should view charity as a limitless concept that extends far beyond those boundaries. By embracing the interconnectedness of humanity and recognizing our collective responsibility, we can work together to make a lasting impact on the world. Now, the word charity comes from the Latin word caritas, which actually means affection or love. So the roots of charity are deeply intertwined with love, an expression of love through action. Charity, or agape love, was seen as the highest form of love, a selfless, giving love that cares for others without expectation of return. In fact, charity and love have become so interconnected that the word charity has been replaced by the word love in the most recent biblical texts. So I was doing my research on this particular chapter of 1 Corinthians chapter 13. This is where we have, and you'll hear it in a minute, all of the things that we have heard before in various contexts. So my own Bible, this is my little Bible I got when I was 8 years old, 58 years ago. This is the original Bible. No. I feel that old sometimes. No, this is the King James Version. No adaptation. This is the King James Version. And so when I was starting, to get into my scripture reference to the charity, okay, no problem, there it is. So then I went online to kind of dig in a little bit further. I couldn't find it. But what I did find was that charity had been replaced with the word love. So, I'm going to read a few passages from 1 Corinthians chapter 13 from my version, because it does use the word charity in my talk, so that's what we're going to go with. Okay, so again, I think this is going to sound familiar to you, and this is the King James Version, so there's a lot of F's at the end of things. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. Doth it behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil. Rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in truth. Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as I am also known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. In the early Christian tradition, charity became a central practice, but there are many secular and religious traditions that also value the act of giving and being selfless in service to others. One of the 5 pillars of Islam is zakat, which is a form of almsgiving. It's an obligation for Muslims to give a portion of their wealth to the needy. In Judaism, the Hebrew word tzedakah means charity, but it's also linked with justice. Giving to others is not only an act of kindness, but a way to rectify social injustices. In Buddhism, compassion, or karuna, is at the heart of charity. To relieve suffering is a key part of a compassionate life. And in Hinduism, charity is known as dana, which is not only about giving material goods, but about giving with an open and compassionate heart. Even in secular contexts, charity is a vital part of societal infrastructure, whether through donations to food banks, support for disaster relief, or efforts to combat systemic issues like poverty and inequality. And charitable giving is also a vital part of the US economy and culture. And you all know from my talks, I like a lot of data. So here's some data about charitable giving in the United States. Americans donate nearly $500 billion in charitable contributions, and that was from 2022. About 55% of US households contribute through donations, volunteering, or fundraising efforts, supporting causes like disaster relief, education, health, and the arts. And over the past century, charitable giving has fluctuated due to economic impacts and cycles, major events, and social movements. While giving increased during economic prosperity, it dipped during 2008 financial crisis, but rebounded thanks to online platforms and cause-based giving campaigns. And despite the growth in dollar amounts, the percentage of GDP donations has declined from 2.1% in the 1950s to now about 1.9% in 2022. And wealthier households, particularly those with incomes above $100,000, contribute 80% of the charitable donations, even though they represent a smaller portion of the population. Millennials and Gen Z favor cause-based giving and focus on social justice and environmental issues, and most often giving via digital platforms. Older generations like baby boomers and Gen X tend to give larger sums to established organizations. And religious institutions still receive a significant share, about 30%. Though this is declining, corporations are increasingly involved in giving, with $20 billion in corporate donations in 2022, a figure expected to grow as consumers demand more social responsibility from corporations. So how does charity relate to our paths as Unity Truth students? So as you know, as Truth students who have been here numerous times, Unity emphasizes the power of positive thought, spiritual awareness, and living a life in alignment with divine truth. Charles Fillmore taught that our inner nature is one of abundance, and that as we live from that place of abundance, we are naturally inclined to give. They become one and the same. Charity, in this sense, is not just about giving from what we have, it's about giving from who we are. When we recognize that our true nature is abundant, loving, and compassionate, then our giving is a reflection of that divine nature. In Unity, we also talk about the principle of law of circulation, which is connected to the idea that when we give, we receive. And it's not about transactional giving, it's about aligning with divine flow. And Reverend Carol has talked about this quite a few times. We've also talked about it in classes as well. So when we give, we're not losing something. We're actually participating in the abundant flow of life, which always returns to us in some form. Myrtle Fillmore, in particular, emphasized the importance of healing the mind and body, and this is tied to the idea of charity. In her teachings, giving can be a way of healing, not just for the recipient, but for the giver as well. Charity then is as much a spiritual practice as it is an act of service. In Unity, charity is more than just giving money or material goods. It's about living from a place of love and abundance. In fact, sometimes charity can be a simple smile, a listening ear, or a kind word. It's about embodying the love that it is at the heart of our being. There's also a call to look deeper. In the age of giving, it's easy to forget that true charity is about the spirit of giving, not just the action itself. It's about aligning with a consciousness of abundance and love so that every act of giving, no matter how small, becomes an expression of that higher truth and should be engaged without expectation of acknowledgement. That's a really important key. The silent, unseen, and creative givers tend to reap the greatest reward. In her book, 7 Paths to God, Joan Borisenko identifies one of the 7 paths as creativity and abundance, and this is generosity of spirit. The following are her suggestions for the mystic on this path. Take stock of your boundaries. Take stock of your ability to grow with the flow. Do your part to manifest abundance practically. Thank God in advance for abundance and creativity in your life. Discover your creative intention, count your blessings, and last and certainly not least, give to charity. So my title of my talk is The Magic of Charity. So you almost go, what's the magic? When does the magic happen? Well, it's actually scientific, and I will tell you why. Several studies have shown that giving to charity leads to greater happiness and health. Research by Dr. Elizabeth Dunn and Ashley Williams from the British Columbia University found that people who donated money had lower blood pressure and felt happier compared to those who spent money on themselves. In another experiment, participants who spent money on others reported higher levels of happiness than those who spent it on themselves. And these findings support the views of philanthropist Andrew Carnegie, who believed that wealth should be used to help others. Further research by Professor Carolyn Schwartz at the University of Massachusetts showed that people who helped others were happier and less depressed. And brain scans, this is the real scientific part, have shown that donating activates the same pleasure centers as in the brain as food and comfort, suggesting that altruism is wired in the brain. And Dr. Paul Wink and Dr. Michelle Dillon's book, In the Course of a Lifetime, which I discovered during some of my research, it's the next thing I'm going to read, In the Course of a Lifetime provides an unprecedented portrait of the dynamic role religion plays in the everyday experiences of Americans over the course of their lives. This is a 60-year study that found that, among other things, individuals who volunteered or engaged in charitable giving during adolescence were less likely to suffer from depression in later life. Now, I just want to add that we have this opportunity this season right now to, when we're gathering with our family, when we're gathering with children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whatever their age, we have an opportunity to use our time together to find something like this that is going to be of value and of relevance, not just for, not just for ourselves, but for others, obviously, and the reverse. We're not just helping others, but we're also improving our health on a lot of different ways. So I invite you to look for things that you can do together that are altruistic and charitable during the season. And then I love this quote from author Albert Pine: "What we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others remains immortal." And that could have been my affirmation there. And so how and where can you be charitable? I'm sure you all think of charities and things in your community or in your family that you can participate with, but however and wherever you give of your time, talent, and treasure, just ensure that it's aligned with your values, because you'll get that much greater reward from it. What means the most to you and what resonates with your heart? That'll have the greatest magical impact. Service organizations in Culver City abound. There is the Exchange Club, there's Rotary, there's the Benevolent Order of Elks, there's the Fraternal Order of Eagles, there's the American Legion, the Culver City Women's Club, and of course Unity of the West Side, are just a few of the groups that have charitable programs and opportunities to serve. And there are also animal organizations, I'm looking over here, food banks, environmental groups, and so many other nonprofits. I want to share with you something that happened with a friend of mine. He's a Rotarian, he's in Rotary. And have any of you heard of Walk and Rollers? There's an organization called Walk and Rollers, nonprofit. And he does multiple events a year to help children learn how to properly ride a bike, how to learn the safety of riding a bike, how to learn how to be in traffic, riding bikes. Also providing bikes to children who don't have the opportunity to have them. And he has these events, he's got all this equipment. It was in a trailer, hitched to the back of his truck, and it was stolen yesterday morning. So when I saw that, my first thought is start praying for this guy and that truck and his team, because this is a wonderful, wonderful charitable organization that now has felt like it has the rug pulled out from under them. But we know in Unity that there is a higher, greater good that is happening here. And it may be, they'll find it, because the Culver City PD actually saw it, driving down Overland, being pulled down Overland. So, there are higher powers and greater powers at work that have a plan for my friend Jim and that organization that is multiplied and overflowing so much more than even what is in that trailer. And that's the way I'm, wanting to look at it. So, hold Walk and Rollers in your affirmative prayer, because we know that there is a greater good that is happening here in this process. You also may, I got kind of off there. You also know, you may or may not know, that you can suggest how Unity of the West Side can give 25% of our tithe to a local charitable organization. Each month, the board considers your submissions. And Penny Akashi suggested that we give to the Venice Family Clinic, which we did. We gave 25% of our tithes from October to the Venice Family Clinic. And another congregant here suggested another one that we give to that does charitable work out with the homeless, and so our November tithes will go to that. If you weren't aware of it, I have forms you can fill out. And these are right here, charitable tithe suggestion form, and any organization that you would like us to consider providing part of our tithe to, you can fill this out. Okay, so we'll put these in the back following. Just another opportunity. So whether you're donating to a cause, helping a neighbor, or simply offering a smile to someone in need, remember you are embodying the love and abundance that are your birthright. In the words of Mother Teresa, It's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. Our spiritual nature and our true divinity is the expression of love, the expression of charity. So in closing, let's state our affirmation together. It's up on the screen here at the bottom. I affirm my divinity and revive my faith by choosing charity and service. And all of you have a beautiful, beautiful Thanksgiving week with your family, with your friends, with yourself. Give thanks for yourself and all of the contributions that you make to our community. And may your lives be filled with absolute abundant love and charity. Thank you very much. Woo! Thank you. And now Tim is going to sing one of his own creations that is perfect for today's talk.
You can be that spark, or be that butterfly wing, or be that one single voice to inspire the whole world to sing. No matter your culture, your race or your creed, just take one step forward in our direction of need. What one does in secret reveals the color of one's soul. And flattery and praise should never be the goal, but little acts of kindness change lives in big ways. Someone's outlook turns brighter for the rest of their days. So if you're feeling infinitesimally small on this great big blue-green marble ball, whether your life feels complete or completely in tatters, just remember what you do matters. What you do matters. Whether your life feels complete or completely in tatters, just remember what you do. What you do matters. Each of us has power, more than we'd ever believe, to create wonders in others they'd otherwise never achieve. So step out of yourself, be of service to others, 'cause you know in the end we're all sisters and brothers. If you're feeling infinitesimally small on this great big blue-green marble ball, whether your life feels complete or completely in tatters, just remember what you do matters. What you do matters. Whether your life feels complete or completely in tatters, just remember what you do. What you do matters. Life is a mystery, and the hows and whys are so tough. You feel so helpless and wonder if you're enough, but you may not see how inspiring you do matters. What you do matters. Whether your life feels complete or completely in tatters, just remember what you do. What you do matters. What you do matters. Whether your life feels complete or completely in tatters, just